All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Friday. Finally made it here to the weekend. Day after Thanksgiving. November 29th, 2024 is the day, just about 1 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows some movement out around the just south here, the Philippines, with a 4.6 earthquake. Fairly deep earthquake there coming into the region right now in the red flag. Also a little small microquake here across the California area. That one in California is showing a little 0.5. I am guessing, actually it looks like they upgraded it here just a little bit. I'm guessing that this is going to be the earthquake in question right here around the China Lake area. I do have a seismograph station there. Kind of odd that a little 0.5 would show up that strongly, but or a little 0.6 I should say. But either way, a little bit of activity there on the seismograph stations there around the Ridgecrest area. A look at California here, the last 24 hours, 2.5 and above. Nothing from today. This one here is from yesterday. As far as today's activity, some further movement up north here outside of Red Bluff. This area had a previous earthquake here of a magnitude 3.4 from yesterday. So we got a 2.3 coming in today, 16 miles deep underneath this area. I have a feeling that's associated with the strain that's being produced out here across the Northern California area. Last night we had some tremor activity, I should say yesterday. Let me pull that up for you guys and show you the tremor here down in the southern end of the Cascadia, the extreme southern end, which runs somewhat under Northern California here as well. That's why the tremor is over on the map. This activity, the tremor is down there at about 35, 45 kilometers into the slow slip range. The locked area, of course, sits upstream here along the Cascadia subduction zone interface, which extends from northern Cal all the way up north, just about to the Queen Charlotte Sound area. So, looks like tremor activity, adding some strain there at the surface levels. Some crustal quakes being observed here across the northern end of the Sacramento Valley here today and yesterday. Not a whole lot else here across that area of the Cascadia for now. The Bay Area, pretty quiet, aside from one little earthquake there outside of Pacifica from early this morning, a little 1.3. The rest of California out here, aside from the Ridgecrest area, looks fairly normal. Really nothing of any abnormal activity out here, I should say. It's pretty quiet. There may be a few earthquakes here on the map, including a couple up in the lower 2 range, but overall, looks like any other day out here across Southern California in terms of earthquake activity. Get a little bit of movement outside of Las Vegas once again and stretching up here into the western edge of Nevada. Pacific Northwest, a couple smaller quakes outside of Mount Rainier. Really nothing major going on out here across the west coast for now. Quick glance here at the Yellowstone overview map. Shows, looks like some more wind. A little bit of wind conditions out there kicking up, adding onto the reading here. If you look at this here in the last few hours, got some wind stirring up out there. Just for verification, I'll show you guys. But first, it looks like there is a little bit of earthquake activity here across this seismograph station, potentially. And that's going to be there across the Grant Village area, but really nothing big because that's not even showing up there across the local seismograph stations. But a look at the windy map here. Beautiful all-in-one weather app. You can pretty much look at anything you want to in terms of volcanic gases, thermals, Cape Index out there, icing, freezing altitude. It's a one-and-all weather app. Goodness, and I had to pay for the premium edition out here. It's well worth it. Yeah, I'm a weather guy, and I like to look at all this stuff, so it's very helpful. But as far as the wind gusts up there around Yellowstone National Park, things are lighting up out there. About 26, maybe some 30-mile-per-hour winds out here, a little bit further to the east, some stronger winds. Now remember, some of those seismograph stations out there may be exposed to the elements more than others. So it looks like some of those are picking up the wind that's stirring up out there in northwestern Wyoming. Aside from that, there's an earthquake out in Oklahoma. Actually, that's a new one there from late last night. Edmond area, seen in Oklahoma here a night or so ago. It's going to be a 2.6. Okay, this was from yesterday as well, just past the 24-hour threshold. 2.6 out there around the new housing developments. But if you look on the map here, before all those new housing developments, there was a lot of oil fields out there, quite a bit. So earthquake activity will be in the forecast there for those folks there that built those new homes on top of former oil fields out there. 2.6 from yesterday, some newer activity over here across this area of Oklahoma, out in the oil fields as well. There's a couple different names out there. If we look at the satellite imagery, see if we got anything of specifics here. It doesn't look like it in terms of anything at the surface levels, but sometimes it's hard to tell with the vegetation out there on the map for that 3.2. Again, it does look like it's listed out there in some oil field areas. Texas area, aside from some smaller quake activity in their own oil fields, it looks like any given day out there in earthquake country, Texas. Goodness. Up in Indiana, this earthquake here from yesterday, a little two-pointer. The New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet for now. It's been rocking and rolling a little bit here with some elevated earthquake activity here in the last few days or so. Here's the last 30 days of earthquake activity around that region, about 30 earthquakes. So it looks like things are starting to increase. We'll definitely watch that. The rest of the globe out here, as we look at the 24-hour map, we'll check out the largest magnitude here since midnight. It's going to be a 4.8 coming in just about an hour or so ago around the Turkey area. This here is just outside of Cyprus. And looks like, I think they had a couple more smaller quakes out there as well. Just north of the area. Along this plate boundary, fairly active. Quite a few 2s and 3s stirring up out there. But the latest and the largest so far today going to be this 4.8 in the Turkey area. The rest of the globe here, 4.6 there into the Philippines region southward. That's some of the newer activity. Overnight and this morning, getting a swarm of activity here across the Java Trench. Quite a few 3s and 4s out there in that area of the world. So we'll watch that because I think things are starting to get a little interesting out here across this Java Trench region. I'll take a look here at some maps real quick. Now, it's not showing a whole lot of activity here on the USGS map, mainly some 4s out there, but on the globe, we got a decent swarm of activity here, roughly in this area. And I want to go back here and look at the earthquake catalog, see when some last major movement took place out here. The Java Trench is one of those regions that can see some big earthquakes, and it's been a little while since we've had any super large movement. I'm going to raise this up here to about a 6.5, and we'll just check this little area of the Java Trench. Of course, the Indian Ocean tsunami, that was a big earthquake out there across the Java Trench quite a few years back. But I don't want to go that far north. I just want to look right about here, this area of the Java Trench, and look at some historical data. I still have a lingering cough. It won't go away. So 7.1 super deep earthquake underneath the Java Sea here back in last year. It looks like we haven't had no new activity in terms of larger scale movement out here since August of last year. And it seems like we get at least a 6 or 7 every year or so around this area. I'm thinking maybe this region might be overdue. And this could be a little sign here on this map of something just about ready to pop out here across that area of the Java Trench. Last one was back 7.1, last one back in 2023, 7.0 2023. Had a couple there in 2022. See, it's roughly every year that we see something large at least. And absent of earthquake activity this year in terms of larger scale movement. Largest magnitude out here, there's that 8.4. Now, was that the Was that the big one that popped up here back in, I thought that was 2004. Maybe a little bit further up north here. I think that was a little bit further up north, that Indian Ocean tsunami. I'm going to modify this here just a little bit on the map to include this area northward. We'll see, I think that big one back in, I think it's 2004, 2006. Let's see. Yeah, 2004. I was right. That was the Sumatra earthquake, 9.1. That's way up here across the northern end of the Java Trench. And anywhere along this area of the Java Trench can see some big, damaging mega quakes out here. And that's why I'm saying it's been a little quiet since we've seen anything here specifically along this area of the Java Trench. 8.3, 1977. A lot of time has passed out here. 1994, 7.8. 1921, 7.6. So it's just one of those areas, folks, that I think is fairly well primed. This is maybe where we could see our 8-pointer that we're waiting for. But then again, it could be any area out here. The Kamchatka, the Java Trench, could be areas across the Mariana Trench, maybe Taiwan, New Zealand. I mean, an 8-pointer has to come here. It's been 3 years, almost a little bit over 3 years now since our last 8-pointer back in 2021, and we're supposed to have an 8-pointer at least. It seems like every year or every other year on average, and it's been 3 years now, so something's coming. This area is definitely a prime spot to watch as well. No larger activity here since 2023, and even then, that's not even a large quake. That was only a 7.1 inland, and that was the last deep earthquake. And remember, those deep quakes there further add strain across the area of the subduction zone here at the surface levels. That's where the big ones take place. So we'll watch that. Just a little tidbit of information here today on this Friday. And of course, with this uptick going on here, it's wise to watch it. New Zealand got its own little uptick going on here, it looks like. A little swarm there across North Island area northward. Quite a few threes stirring up out there today. It's in that little spot there that's in between the Hikurangi subduction zone and the Kermadec Trench, roughly right about here. I'll pull up the GeoNet servers real quick here and see what we have for the latest data. There's a couple of the felt earthquakes there from, that's going to be there yesterday. I think they're in the future already. It's already the 30th there. So Saturday morning there in New Zealand. So this is going to show yesterday. Quite a few twos stirring up out there. And it looks like it's just underneath the North Island coastline there. So that would put it, definitely put it right over here across this area, the northern end of the Hikurangi subduction zone. So we've got to watch that area. That's a region that's capable of producing something in excess of an 8 as well. So a lot of that looks like it was from yesterday, their time, but within the last 24 hours, some of the activity not showing up. But it's there on the seismos, on a couple of them anyway. So we'll continue to watch that area. Obviously, these little swarms here are a good indicator of some pressure building up in the region. 4.2 there at the northern end of the Kamchatka Trench. Another major subduction zone that I feel is well overdue. We could sit here all day and talk about many regions that are well overdue, but your guess is as good as mine where we're going to see our next big quake at. 8-pointer or above is coming soon. The question is where. Got some activity stirring up there across the southern end of the Middle America Trench as well, looks like. Across this area. Nothing showing up there on the USGS map, but again, we got it on the globe. Looks like some 3s and 4s stirring up out there. The Atlantic Ocean pretty quiet. We'll see how today plays out. Aurora activity, well, lack of it. That was a pretty much a dud last night. Calling for a G2 class storm. I think I called that a couple days ago when we're looking at that Space Weather Prediction Center where the filament eruption was headed. It was away from Earth. We were just going to barely get a glancing hit from that plasma cloud. And 99% of the time, when it's just barely showing a glancing hit, it misses us completely. And that's what happened here last night. They were forecasting a G2 class storm. That never materialized. Even on the KP index here, it was super duper quiet. Nothing really peaked up. Looks like these models are still offline. They had some type of flooding event in the at the Stanford University there, the JSOC room where they monitor and receive all these images from the sun, from the spacecraft and whatnot, is offline, and no telling when it's going to come back here due to flooding. That's just a little odd, right? So we're very limited on what we can view out here. Like even the UV filter here is from a few days ago now, from the 26th. Our magnetic complexity, somewhat current, although from yesterday as well. It's supposed to look like this, right? So we can see the magnetic complexity out here, and this here is from the 26th as well. So we're limited, folks, on what we can view out here. Kevin did post up this image. Again, this is from yesterday, so really nothing new on here as far as newer imagery goes. 26. I guess what, a good thing we have this flare chart right here. We can see if things are starting to get unstable, which it looks like they are. We're getting this stair-stepping ladder event popping up there into the C flare category, maybe up into the upper C flare. So that means things are getting a little unstable there with some of the sunspots. I'm not for sure which one it's going to be now because we can't really see any of the complexity. So we'll watch for that. Looks like things are about ready to pop off there a little bit in some flare, stronger flare potential. They've lowered this here to 10% chance, but there's really no way of knowing what's what now, according to these images. So we'll have to watch that. That's at least a good thing we have here, the live data coming in from the solar flare detection from the GOES 16 X-ray flux chart. There's a little bit of radio blackout being observed from that C flare activity. And again, this is from the 26th. But the data on the solar flare activity is current, up to date. All right, let's see here. No major roars in the forecast. And, I like to call it when I see it. And I firmly believe that would miss us. And sure enough, it did. No auroras last night, and nothing in the forecast here for now. Storm Prediction Center, as far as severe weather goes, pretty quiet out here. Goodness. Not a whole lot going on at all. Got just a little bit of thunderstorm activity down south in Florida, up around the Great Lakes area. But aside from that, pretty quiet. If we look at the GFS model here, got a massive low pressure system up here in Canada, bringing down a lot of cold air here into this area of the country. Blue lines there indicating a lot of colder, below average temperatures. High pressure out here across the west coast. Boo. As we put this into motion here, really no major weather pattern set up. I mean, these guys are going to get a lot of snow up here from that lake effect snow activity. But really no major weather set up here. Until maybe it looks like around the 9th or 10th of December here. Got a little interaction between the colder air and the warmer air down south. Of course, that creates some interesting conditions, right, across that area of the country. But we'll see what happens come the 10th or so. It's a ways out. And, man, I am not liking this pattern. California is absent of weather. And that includes the Pacific Northwest as well. So, man, goodness, hopefully things change out here. All right, let's see if we got anything major going on in the asteroid department here. That one's pretty close. 25-foot bus-sized asteroid there coming in today, about 104,000 miles there. That's within the distance of Earth and the moon. But still safe. Looks like that's a fairly newly discovered asteroid here, 2024 WF5. Let's see. But still not close enough to warrant the orbital viewer investigation. Earlier this year, we had an asteroid come within about 12,000 miles, and that looked like it was going to hit the Earth, but it never did. But it's a little cool feature you can bring out. This one has its own orbital viewer where you can look at that specific asteroid here and see how close it comes to the Earth. This is just a little generic version. Down here, here's Earth. Kind of hard to see, but anyway, there's a little generic version, and then we also can use the Near Earth Object Toolkit, a little bit better observation tool feature here, which we'll pull up whenever we get a decent sized asteroid coming pretty close here to the Earth. But right now, everything looks pretty quiet here, folks. I mean, as far as any close approaches go. So we are safe on that. Seen a lot of stuff floating around here on social media recently about unidentified flying objects at at the airports over Capitol Hill. A lot of people seeing stuff in the sky, and right now I don't have a comment on any of that stuff. It's just you got to be careful. A lot of AI stuff is floating around, and they're sharing it on social media platforms, and people are believing it. I'm not saying that the stuff recently is false or truth, but there is a lot of fake AI stuff going on out there, and we're living in an age here where anyone can mimic anyone's voice, their image, and everything like that from the AI programming stuff. So it's a little scary. So you got to take everything with a just don't believe everything you see on the social media platforms out there. But we shall see. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a wonderful Friday. Sunny outside, blue clear sky. I think it's about 63 degrees outside, so I'm going to go outside and soak up a little bit of sun. I'd rather have it raining, but while the sun's up, I may go outside and just get some fresh air and enjoy the day. You guys have a good Friday, and we'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening for the Friday night update. Take care and have a good day, folks.